So I wanted to show you, can we have the slides, please? Yeah. This is the COMEX silver inventory, and this is just going back for a year. So you can see that massive decline. So regardless of the spot price, which is just about keeping you away from the actual physical metal itself, how many times can you be lied to when you do not know the truth? What we're seeing is physical demand continues to escalate. And of course, we do know that there are a lot of entities that use just a finite silver, 36 of them. But almost in this last year, you've had what? Over 312 million ounces. Actually, that's the last 24 hours, just disappear. And again, for silver's use, there is a finite amount, but in the meantime, there are 36 different physical users. So don't believe the fiat money lie on the contracts, because they can create as much silver that does not nor ever will exist, but those users don't go away. And so the volatility that you see in the markets, it's really silver telling you that something major is going on. But keep in mind, when that silver leaves the COMEX, it doesn't come back. And before we go on to silver or on to gold, do you want to make a comment and say something about this?
Yeah, I mean, that is a very big, change in the trend when we see that large dip down in the physical holdings that the COMEX has. And it kind of goes back to what we talked about last week as well, when people can stand for delivery of those contracts of the COMEX.
Exactly.
So we're seeing this now play out more in real time, where maybe there's people that want to take the physical delivery over rolling it over into another futures trade or keeping it as fiat. So would you say, Lynette, that that's maybe a sign too of that public confidence piece being lost in the fiat?
Yes, I would absolutely call this a sign. And that's really why silver is the fuse. Yeah. It's more volatile. It reacts first. Though when I was looking in the gold contracts, that was also like really interesting. I'm going to go through this quickly. Just a reminder, because when I did the event, the Plutus event last week, somebody came up to me and said, you know what image made the biggest impact on them was this chart and the one on the gold, where you're actually listing out the users, because people don't really think about that. But when you see the big spike and the depth, that's not the users, right? That's the traders. And soon, I can't tell you when, because who knows, but at some point in the reasonably near future, well, what's going to happen is it will be the physical true supply and demand that dictates the prices. But let's do the same thing with gold, right? Look at that. That's the COMEX gold inventory. It looks even different than the silver, doesn't it?
Yeah, absolutely.
It drops off that cliff, and you can see something even bigger than that. There are, let's see. Yeah, this is where over 25 million ounces disappeared in 24 hours. You saw that big drop off again with the users, but I am going to show you what is happening in the long term on the gold chart, which I did not see the same pattern in the silver.
Yeah.
Look at this.
Wow.
That goes back to 1993, right at the very beginning. And you can see the major pattern shift that happened in 2020. And actually, even 2008, it didn't change that much. But look what happened in 2020 with that massive upswing. And then again in 2025, when we really started talking about the shift that's happening between the digital and the physical markets.
Yeah.
You want to make a comment? I mean, because have you seen this? Or is this the first time you've seen this chart?
Yeah, this is the first time I've seen that. And I mean, it really does show. So you've got this huge dramatic change in 2020. And then that was just barely 5 years ago, when you see now it went down, but it made a higher
Yep.
high, right? And so that I think is very telling of when, like you said, it's a pattern shift, and
Massive.
it's something that to me looks like it's getting more volatile, right? If you're getting the ups and downs.
Well, yeah, but what are we looking at here? We're looking at the COMEX gold inventory.
Inventory, yeah.
That's what we're really looking at. So in the beginning of 2020, do you remember they even had to, well, they changed SLV to just reflect the spot price, right? Because they couldn't get their hands, and they still can't. It hasn't gotten better. They couldn't get their hands on enough physical silver to put those baskets together. But what this is really showing is I think, is the final breakdown, because I was convinced in 2008, I remain convinced today that 2008 is when the system actually died.
Yeah.
But from 2020, and you remember what was happening in the futures markets and all of the markets, there was this flight to safety. They had to build their inventory.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
Why? Because gold is the anchor.
Yeah.
Because gold is what protects you from it. But look at the massive dips. I'm telling you right now, what we're looking at here is significant. It's very significant. Entities are standing for delivery. And just like silver, there is a finite amount of it. Now, I didn't have a chance to put these slides together, so kind of bear with me in there. But you see this dark line. Oh, you were not going to see it there. Wait, I have a laser here, right? If I point it here, does it work? No. Okay, the laser doesn't mean anything. But the first quarter of 2026, there was higher demand. Right? That's a 5-year average. That line that you see in there is the 5-year average. So demand is increasing, even as the spot price, after it peaked, it dropped. And people are, oh, well, maybe gold isn't, because that's not gold. That's a contract.
Yeah.
You've got the physical gold right by you, right? Did it evaporate? Did all of those users magically disappear?
No, and it didn't change either.
Exactly.
Nothing changed about the actual physical asset.
Yep. So you want to get your strategy laid in, because that's what central banks and smart money is actually doing. And here, central bank buying remained elevated in Q1 alongside of a pickup in reported sales. So understand that that is savings. Gold is your savings. And so when a country gets into trouble, they have savings to fall back on.
Yeah.
I have a huge bugaboo, because one of the things that I've seen over time, and I really want your input on this, because you're a different generation than I am. But in my generation, we were really taught to accumulate things, right? And then when you run into a problem, you have savings, you have something to fall back on.
Yeah.
But more into your generation, weren't they encouraging you to just accumulate experiences?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And I'm not saying don't have those experiences, but if you spend all of your wealth on experiences and you have no hard assets to fall back on, you have no savings to fall back on, what do you do?
Yeah. And I think that also goes into something that you've brought up before, these, buy now, pay later companies, or pay in installments.
Yeah.
It's a way to get, younger generations, those consumers, to not think about what they're doing so much. Like you said, don't worry about it. You don't need a hard asset. If you can't afford to pay for all of it right now, we can just break it up into, 12 easy payments for you, or 4 easy payments.
Yep.
And so, yeah, that's very true. It's one giant revolving, door of debt. And the question then becomes, especially when you see that chart where the COMEX the inventory, right? It's going up and then it goes back down.
Right.
I think that we're seeing something big there. Yeah.
We are seeing something huge there.
Yeah.
And it's the inventory that they're pulling in, because they know The COMEX is about contracts. It's not about physical
Right.
delivery.
Right.
But there are enough of their entities that are going, look, we're going to tell you right now, we want physical delivery.
Yeah.
So here's, you can take that off now, Tom. Thank you. Because here's the other part of that. We don't have that physical delivery here. Where is all that gold coming from? Kind of like we talked about in 2025. And once that is delivered out from Europe or Switzerland or wherever it's not coming from China, that's for sure.
Right. Yeah,
Right?
they're not letting it go.
No, they're not letting it go.
Yeah.
But once that inventory comes into the COMEX and then gets delivered out, well, did they buy that outright? Did the Bank of England send that in from I don't know, the government's gold that they're holding? Right?
Yeah.
I'm telling you, the fireworks will be huge.
Yeah. I mean, do you think that there's like a layer of illusion that the COMEX always has to try and keep up?
Well, yeah. They don't want you to know what's going on.
Right.
The guys that they want, it's kind of like the FDIC. You know, the big kahunas, they're the ones that are driving all of this. They know what's going on. That's all that really matters.
Yeah.
The little guys breaking those contracts down into 1 ounce pieces so that the normal guy can afford to support the market,
yeah.
right? What do? They privatize the gains and they democratize the losses.
Yeah, that's that shift of the risk, right? That risking shifted away from them onto everyday people like you and me and everyone watching.
The people that believe and continue to believe the lie.
Yeah.
So I'm telling you, don't believe the lie. And you can be lied to every single time unless you know the truth. And we just showed you what's happening in the COMEX with the physical inventory.
Yeah.
It is telling you to get your strategy in place. Get it done while we still have that option. Because we don't have all the time in the world. We only have as much as we have. Now, I do know that there was something that you wanted to bring up as well. Was there?
Yeah. It just was interesting. About maybe an hour before we were supposed to go live, there was some breaking news, I guess, on the Kevin Warsh he cleared his Senate hurdle for being instilled as a governor at the Federal Reserve, and then as early as tomorrow, he could actually get that chairman vote, and just to see if that regime change, because that's what he's saying he wants to see. If it
well
at the Fed,
yeah. It's really interesting because the CPI, the inflation numbers came in hot.
Yeah, a little hot.
We talked about it, right? Of course, they're going to come in hot. We're at the end of this currency's life cycle. Why can't they control it by raising rates? But the markets don't like higher interest rates.
Yeah.
So it has nothing to do with valuations, but it makes it harder for anybody to justify lowering rates.
Right.
Because lowering rates is about inspiring borrowing and spending, which inspires more inflation. And that's why they have a hard time lowering rates when core PCE, which it's garbage anyway.
It's their magic number. And it still came in hot with their magic number. So what's the real number?
Exactly.
Is what I think. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And in the meantime, I think they did some calculations on the average wage earner and how much they actually have lost out. So things are costing more. And because of those things that are costing more, the people that can least afford it, that need that 4 easy payments. Right? Those poor people are hurt even more.
Yeah. Right. Yeah, it's almost like it's by design. Right.
Well, it is by design. Yeah. But you know what they don't want to have happen, but I don't think that they can avoid it? That is that loss of confidence. This is a con game.
Yeah.
So we already hit the lowest level ever in consumer sentiment.
Yeah.
So at least since they've been tracking since 1952. So what do you think this is going to do to impact? They're not looking at the numbers. They're people are just trying to make ends meet. They're just trying to figure it out. But if things are getting more expensive and your paycheck goes less and less and less far when you're already
Yeah.
having trouble meeting those ends meet, what does that do?
Yeah. You've said, many times, and you've done a lot of different videos on it, is there's three legs to the stool that are keeping the fiat system afloat. And the first two already long ago abandoned the hope. So that consumer confidence is really the only thing left keeping this giant illusion going. And,
Right.
Like you said, nobody can guarantee anything, but you can guarantee that everything will get to its fundamental value.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. So you need to keep that in mind, because I've been telling you guys for God knows how many years that when the public confidence rather goes to an all-time low, for me, that means that the clock now is really ticking, because we are not far from a major shock
Mhm.
that then makes the hyperinflation. And I'm sorry, because these things don't happen quickly until they do.
Yeah.
And I've been talking about the fact that we're in melt up. Oh,
Yeah.
look at this. Oil over $110 a barrel. I think crude was over $101 a barrel.
Oh, yeah.
Fertilizer has become an issue. Are we really going to have, is this ceasefire? Are we going to end this? I mean, nobody really knows.
Right.
But what we do know is that countries are burning through their strategic reserves, even here. And we had this conversation just before I left, about, I think it's June sometime, where we're scheduled to run out. Don't hold me to that. I don't have the data right in front of me, but I do believe it's sometime in June. If we do not, if the oil ships cannot get through, that we, even here in the US, will be out of our strategic reserves.
Yeah.
Now, what happens? Do I think that's going to happen? Probably not.
Right.
But it really does depend on whether or not the system is ready for that next major shock that nobody sees coming, because that seems so outrageous.
Well, I think that's one of the main things that you always want to make sure people understand is, look, things might sound outrageous until reality happens, right? Nobody can think that bread can cost $10,000 a loaf,
because they put value in this stuff, and that's not where the value lies.
Mine's jammed.
Oh,
this printer's turned off.
Here.
But
Okay,
we'll just do that one.
there we go. Don't worry, it's so easy. It's so much fun. It's actually not. It is kind of fun. Probably not for Tom, because he's got to pick it all up.
He's gonna do his yoga poses and get his workout in, getting done, and you can pick it up.
So Kevin Warsh, going back to your comment, his task is to lower rates. It is much harder to justify after the inflation print that came out today.
Right.
But that doesn't mean that they won't do it. And I will tell you that I do think that interest rates will be absolutely heading down. They're going to ultimately head down to zero if we run out of oil, right? I mean, we could see them back at zero again, which happened after the Depression in 33. It happened again after the great financial crisis, when the system was really dead.
Yeah.
And that can happen here again. It doesn't really work, but it does generate a whole lot more of this stuff.
Yeah.
And what does that do? It makes the inflation even worse.
Yeah, it's kind of like they have to, just to keep the system alive one more day at a time, they have to actually bring about its end even faster, because the more they print, the more that
They have nothing else.
Right. Yeah. There's no other, they're experiment of QE1 showed it all, right? They said, well, let's just see how much we can stimulate the economy by just turning on the money printer. And it's, that now, to your point too, that you said, they don't need to physically even print money anymore, right?
Push a button.
Just push a
But
button.
QE1 was, it had the most impact of all of the QEs that they did because it was the first one.
Right. The
Right?
first little experiment run on it. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Then they did QE 2, 3, 4. Every single time they did it, it had less and less impact.
Right.
So they had to print more and more new money. And what happened in 2020?
Well, we saw that inflation, that's for sure.
And also back when they were doing the QE, they were bailing out the banks.
Yeah.
In 2020, they bailed out, well, they didn't really, but they gave a lot of that new money to the public.
Yeah.
Right?
Stimulus.
Kind of modern money theory.
Yeah.
So and look at how much more they had to do. And we already know that the runoff of the balance sheet, the Fed balance sheet, I mean, it's a joke. It's a flipping joke.
Yeah.
So you ready to take some questions?
Yeah.
Okay.
If you're ready,
I'm
ready.
going to tell you now, and then we'll remind you again, because we finally have it scheduled for, we're going to do it next Monday at 3. Daniel Diaz and a legislator will be here to help us learn how to get involved in our local politics. But then after that, it's going to be a regular series where it's going to be done live so you can ask questions. And that will be, and I'll remind you this, so don't worry about this one. Just this one coming will be next Monday at 6:00 Eastern time. And then after that, we're going to do it on the second Monday of every month at 6:00 Eastern time. And we're doing it that way because Arizona never changes. And so that
Right.
kind of gives people up. So if we do it to Eastern time, when the time changes, everybody will be impacted by it. So I'll remind you of this. It's going to be great. I'm going to learn how to do it along with you. So join us for that. And it's really important. And maybe you can get some of your friends to join us too. But you come to the first one and see how it is. Bring your questions, anything you can think of between now and then. And Martin's client, Deb W. asks, for those states that adopt gold and silver as currency for trade, how would I pay off 2 mortgages after a revaluation? I would be dealing with 2 different mortgage companies. That doesn't matter. What happens if I don't have a paper trail for every purchase or transaction? I can see these scenarios becoming roadblocks that could delay paying off the mortgages beyond the limited time period allowed. Well, number one, even though we are not legally obligated to report any part of, there are some transactions upon the sale of it we have to report that we're legally obligated to do it, but nothing on the buy side. However, we do keep records because we're a business and we need to stay in business. So we would, if you're working with us, we can easily make sure that you have that paper trail.
Yeah.
Okay, so that part's easy. And again, it doesn't matter how many different places you're working with the mortgage. When we do that overnight revaluation, your liquidations will be scheduled. We'll convert it into whatever the currency happens to be at that moment in time, wire the funds, and you wire them in just like that, and it's done. Do you want to make a comment on that?
Yeah, I mean, that is the beauty of that leg of the strategy. It's all about getting debt free, taking care of that fixed rate debt, so you don't have to go into a currency reset with anything on a bank's ledger, because when they do the restructuring of the banking system, do you think that they're going to restructure all that debt to be in their favor or in ours?
So the history shows it's always in the bank's favor.
Yeah, right. So it is an important thing to keep in mind. But to your point, yeah, it's actually pretty straightforward on the strategy. Just whether it's hyperinflated fiat dollars or some kind of new currency.
Right.
Yeah.
Stable coins, CBDC, whatever it is,
It gets
we'll
converted.
convert it.
Yep. And then you just go and you extinguish
Boom.
any liens you have, and it's done right then and there. And then you can go on to the next leg of the exit strategy. So,
Yep. And Deb Warner, 2978 asks, where is the Fred with how many pennies are left in the spending power of the dollar? Okay, just go in the Fred, and in the search bar, you put purchasing power of the consumer dollar. And then that chart will come up and it will show you. And I don't know if I can do, can I only use it if I have this in PowerPoint? Like, could you pull up would you do me a favor and pull up the purchasing power? No, we haven't hit 0 yet. And I'm going to have him do it like really. Okay, so there's the purchasing power of the consumer dollar, and that's going back to 1913. Can you just do it for the last year, please? Up at the top, it gives you that option if you make that a little bit smaller. There you go. Yeah, just there you go. Okay, so there was no reporting in October. That's why you see that break in there. So we are officially at 3.00, but now I'm going to ask you to do one more thing, Tom. On you see where it says observations? There you go. See where, okay, if you click on that, okay, and then just leave it there for just a second, but that'll show you the last 4 observations. Remember, you have to move the decimal point. So it is at 3, but 3 cents, but they'll do like the next one will probably be 2.9.
yeah.
Right? 2.8. So they're going to drag this out as long as they can, but it's really all about the confidence. Can you click that view all? Because I want everybody to see this. And then scroll down. So anybody can do this. I don't have any special access to this stuff. If you are looking at any Fred chart, you go into the observations and you go view all, and you can pull what you're looking at is the underlying data that goes all the way back to whenever it was that this started, 1913. So you can actually track it. This is how I knew that we were compounding interest, because I went into the debt and I looked at where that shift happened. So you could go all the way back if you want to. There's lots of good stuff in the Fred, but okay, we're good with that. Thank you. And give the war spending, the interest rate of the debt, and outrageous money printing. Have we hit 0 yet? We won't hit 0 until the public confidence hits 0. Now, we've already broken through that bottom support, and that's why I'm telling you the clock is ticking, because this is all bogus anyway. You know, even the Fred shows you the true fundamental value of a dollar is 0.
There's a big old 0 at the bottom of that chart.
Right.
Yeah.
So, and we're already there because it costs nothing to create this stuff.
Right.
It costs even less if they're pushing a button.
Right. And that's another concern too, of if they get to, have their way of getting everyone on a digital currency, where how
big enough crisis.
Right. And then how cheap is it to create a digital currency?
Well, look, in 2020, didn't they complain that they had to send out checks? How much easier it would be if they could just push a button and make this deposit into everybody's accounts. And do you realize that when they do this, there is no such thing as a free lunch?
Right.
Somewhere somebody's paying, and it should be in this massive K-shaped economy. It should be pretty obvious who's actually paying. Right?
Sure.
So the next question, please. Highway Linux dude, how much physical left at the COMEX? Let's go back to that chart. And presuming, bear with me here and I'll get us there.
Oh.
Oops. Oh, I did
The
not
desk
mean
went
to
up.
do that.
It's okay, it goes
How
down.
do Oh,
Yeah, I think we can do it like this.
this? Oh, no,
Why is it going down?
maybe it's,
Oh.
maybe it's. Oh.
It keeps going that way. Let me see. Hold on.
I love Alive. Here, let me back up and give you more
There we go.
space. There you go. What did you do?
I don't know, but it worked.
Okay.
Is that okay, or is it need to
Yeah,
go low?
yeah, that's fine.
Okay.
That's fine. Sorry about that, guys.
That's
I
awesome.
didn't mean to touch it, but all right. Let me do, where are we? Home. Okay, there we go. Oh, does not want to cooperate. Sorry. Oh, there we go. Okay. So we can look at it from that. It's showing on the COMEX for silver that there are 300, it looks like 312 point something million ounces. So it's down. They still do have inventory, but not great inventory. Let's see, does it tell on that? No. But you can go in and you can call us, and anybody, any of the strategy specialists can even send you this data. And certainly, the links for this is down below. So let's go to gold, and there's the inventory. And this looks like 25.08 million ounces. So you can see down. Okie dokie. And but you know what? Track the link, grab it, and you can go in and you can look at it for yourself. That's why I always put the links in everything. Right. And Dylan Williams 9091. Hey Lynette, hope you're well. I am. Thank you. Hope you're well too. Wondering if you could touch on the real estate market. I'm trying to balance savings for a house and sticking to my strategy. Well, putting your wealth into sound money actually is the strategy. And the reason is because real estate is up here in valuations. It was targeted for reflation. So even after 2008, that's when they dropped the interest rates to zero and started inspiring people to buy houses. And of course, we saw what happened in 2020. So buying gold is the strategy to buy real estate, because gold is undervalued, real estate's overvalued, that's going to flip-flop. So then you can grab and capture those gains from the gold and convert it into the undervalued real estate. We're going to be looking for that cup formation, because that is the most powerful accumulation pattern, indicating smart money has recognized a bottom and a severely undervalued circumstance. So if you're trying to save to buy real estate, that's the way to do it. I mean, that's what I did too for my house down here in Central Phoenix. I accumulated gold, and then I used that gold for down payment. Now, this time, you're going to use that gold to, boom, pay that property off. You're not ever going to have a mortgage. So presuming the strategy works, and it has over 4,800 times. So I kind of think this time is not going to be different.
Right.
Do you want to make a comment on it?
Yeah, I think that, again, like to your point, everybody is going to have their own goals, and the beauty of what we do, our work at Zang International, it's very simple. We find what your goals are, and we can tailor our strategy to that specific goal. So putting, like you said, putting metals in your strategy is that saving up for real estate. No matter what time you're wanting to do that, we have a targeted time for when, like you said, that flip-flop happens and the overvalued asset goes down to being back undervalued. The undervalued asset goes up to being overvalued, and you make the biggest use of your wealth right at that time. But regardless of what somebody's personal timing might be, I think that, when we look at the long-term positive upward trend of bullion, that's you're gonna get I mean, we can't guarantee, but the history would show that's going to get you more return than putting it in a savings account at a bank anyway.
Oh, heck yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
you can even look on the dime cards and you can see the difference between 1965 and today
Yeah.
in terms of valuation. It's not silver going up, it's the currency going down.
Yeah.
So, yeah. And Ernest DeBello, rock and roll hoochie coo. And I'm going to tell you right now that at the Plutus event that I just did, the first night was a karaoke night. And so stay tuned because I had to do it just for you. And you'll see. I think they're editing it. I'm not really sure quite where they are on that. I don't know what it's going to look like either, but it was for you. So I'll tell you that. And Doom Loop. Sorry I'm late. Oh, that's okay. By the way, I hit a personal milestone in my silver stacking, my friend. Good. Belated Happy Mother's Day. Thank you. God bless you and your family and all moms and all dads too. You know what? Everybody is a blessing. Everybody has something that they can contribute in this world, even if you don't realize it.
Yeah.
Everybody has value. Join the community. Bring your gifts. And thank you very much. And I'm glad you showed up. And just stay tuned, Ernest, because I got something special for you coming. I'm not quite sure where they're going to air it, but whatever they do, I'll let you know. And Queen Finsav asks, ma'am, are you growing
mangoes, maybe?
Is that a mango or peaches? The peaches are fabulous. The mangoes, yep, I've got some mangoes on the tree. We are growing lots of things. In fact, the peaches were just about ready before I went to North Carolina. And so here I am, and I'm anticipating these phenomenal peaches because I love that peach tree.
Oh, yeah.
So I get home and they had it covered for the birds, right? They had the netting on the tree. And so I'd go out there every day and I'm just kind of checking to see where we're at. So I anticipated having all of these perfectly ripe peaches when I got home.
Mm-hmm.
And so when I got home, that was like one of the first things I did actually, was I went out to check the peach tree and the netting was gone and so were all the peaches.
Oh,
they were in the fridge. They picked
they got them for you.
They're delicious.
That's good.
So I'm not sure if that's a peach. Does it look like a peach to you, Tom, or a mango? I am growing mangoes too, but they're not as prolific as my peach tree. And you want to assist? Are you in Phoenix? Because if you're in Phoenix, there's always stuff to do on the farm.
Yeah.
And if you come out and you help us, then you get to pick while you're there and rock and roll hoochie coo. Yeah, tomatoes. I mean, I've been eating some Suriname and Barbados cherries. Of course, the rest of the produce. Oh, it's so good. But the peaches, blackberries are in, strawberries. So yeah, yummy. Thank you. The North Carolina Stacker 999. Hope your daughter is doing well. We miss her analysis. I agree. And she is doing well. I saw both my girls this morning because my granddaughter, who's out there blinging my cell phone case right now, but she had a special talent show. The one I always talk about, I say, she's 11. You're not going to think she's going to be 72, and you're not going to think I'm going to be 12. So she's here right now, taking care of my case, but everybody's doing well. Thank you so much for asking. And Wise Fairy Lights. Oh, yes. Who are the largest buyers, accumulators of gold outside of the retail public? I would say central banks.
Yeah. That's what the data is showing, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And I do remember you. We met in North Carolina, didn't we? Got it. And Bobcat Pro 5, Tether Gold will end up being the U.S. government. It is a possibility because they do want to be the reserve. And so I think it's smart.
Yeah.
I think it's smart. So I wouldn't say no to that. And Void Game Original Is that a new bodyguard? You mean Kenneth? I mean, he's kind of strong and he's young, so maybe.
Yeah, right. Yeah, for the lives down in the amphitheater, I'll make sure I run security down there too.
There you go. There you go.
I'm one of the strategy specialists, so
Yeah, he
at
is.
least that's what they hired me for. I don't know. Maybe I'm getting, maybe I'm doing double duty.
Well, truthfully, don't we all do whatever it is that we need to do to
Yeah.
get done? I mean, you're sitting here, right?
Yeah.
So, and I appreciate that a lot.
Oh, of course, yeah.
And Randy Man, 1868. Do you really feel there will be a new confiscation of gold and silver? I'm not so sure about silver because it gets used up, but please tell me why every single government has a gold revaluation account.
Yeah.
And please tell me that clear historic precedence doesn't mean anything. But I think it does. I think that our government has shown that, whether they, what's interesting is what they don't name it, right? They don't say, I mean, what do you think inflation is? Isn't that a form of confiscation?
Taxation.
Taxation is a form of confiscation. Really treating the gold the way that they do, and the silver as well, and the taxable events and all of that around that is to keep you away. And the manipulation of the paper, I mean, it was intentional to create these paper markets to keep you away from the physical. So, yeah. And I mean, I was alive when you couldn't own more than 5 ounces of gold any other way than the pre-33s. So, and I don't think that was an accident. I don't think when I was born was an accident. I don't think the family I was born into, I was groomed for this moment in time. And now really what I'm trying to do is pass down my history to Kenneth and everybody else here at Zang International. Because history has a tendency to repeat, or at the minimum rhyme. Yes, I do think that there is, there's been so much covert gold confiscation. Yes, I do think that there will be an overt one in our future. I do. They don't want you to hold your wealth.
Yeah, that's, and if I could just speak to that too, because I think it's an important, it is an important thing, because it's almost inconceivable for people to think that the U.S. government would come and they'd want to take this away, right? Like, oh, how could they? Why would they? But I think the biggest thing that we have to really look at is the 5 other times that they've done it in this nation's history. And each time they've done it has been because they needed to make a change in the way that the money worked in this country, really globally, I would argue. And
you could argue that.
And if they let you keep this, right, and you get to have your own say in the matters, then you're not stuck inside the system they're trying to create.
Right.
If they can get this out of your hands and back on their ledger, they can use it for what they want to use it for. And when they ask you to jump, you kind of have to ask how high. Right.
And, you brought up something good in there, and that is why.
Yeah.
Why would they do that?
Why? Yeah.
Well, China's not slowing down. In fact, I think they had like a 67. I had a slide in there on that. But there was something like a 67% increase in their gold purchases that they're admitting to. Because if you think any central bank is actually telling you truthfully what they're doing, you need to think again. So, we would do that here in the US and the excuse that they could easily use would be to counter what's happening in China and Russia, let alone India, but it's China and Russia and the rise of the BRICS. And they can use that as an excuse. It's your patriotic duty. We have to do this in order to stay strong. What if other governments decide to audit Fort Knox?
Yeah, Trump was just talking about that again, actually, like 2 days ago.
Oh, I missed that. What did he say?
Yeah, just like, oh well, yeah, we need to really get in there, and we really need to like it's some kind of hard thing for them to do, right? To audit
Weren't
their
they
own.
in there?
Yeah, like
Okay.
it's again just a matter of, I guess, keeping the illusion going, right?
Perception management.
If people think that there's enough gold in there that the federal balance sheet as it's accounted for, then maybe people won't think they would ever want to come and get this out of the hands of institutions and us. But yeah.
Well, low blood pressure is asking, can I go to your location and buy $9,999.99 cash for silver? No, because then we'd have to basically, we are not set up for that, because that puts too many things in jeopardy. So you can use a cash equivalent, but we're not transacting in cash, because we've got to stay in business and be around. And this is really critically important that we execute the strategy. So no, you can't do that.
Yeah. And well, we don't have anything on location anyway, right?
Yeah, we don't. Yeah, we don't carry inventory.
Yeah,
we work with multiple wholesalers. So, and Ernest DeBella said, heard someone say that when copper price dives and silver shoots up, it can be a sign that confidence is fully cooked, because copper use is so integrated in the economy. What are your thoughts on this possible signal? I can tell you, copper is an industrial metal.
Right.
And today it went to a new all-time high somewhere north of 14,000. I guess a ton, must be a ton.
Yeah,
So
it's
sure
per ton. Yeah.
But what I can tell you is that silver is the fuse, and it indicates that change is happening. It's a lot more volatile because it really straddles both worlds. So it would make sense that when the copper price, contract price dives, it's because of concerns about the global economy slowing.
Right.
And silver shooting up, because silver is the secondary monetary metal and is the fuse. I can see that could be a possible signal. And then you pay attention to what happens with gold, because gold is really the anchor. And, people have been taught that everything is valued in terms of dollars, but that's a pretty new concept.
Yeah.
Historically, everything is valued in terms of ounces of gold and silver, not dollars. But they want you to think that the dollar has value. It doesn't. So, yeah, I could see that. Copper as an industrial metal, silver shooting up as the monetary metal, and then gold as the anchor moving up after that, really kind of steady. It's just not as volatile. Although you saw in the COMEX, the massive rise in pulling in that inventory for that demand, that is telling you lots and lots that it is shifting, and physical is taking people. Those that are in the know, they want what you have right over there.
Yeah.
That's what they want. And that's what I want too. And I hope that's what you want too.
Right. And that kind of goes to the point as well of that spot contract price really just being, again, a paper illusion, because when you see how many people are standing for delivery in the COMEX, that's really what's telling you, okay, what is the true demand? And can that supply ever really, I guess, fulfill all that demand?
Yeah.
Right.
The answer is no. And
Right.
even in the COMEX, you can go in and you can see the leverage ratio. I believe the leverage ratio that they're reporting, because there's all different ways that you can jury rig formulas. Right. But I suppose the leverage that the COMEX is saying on silver is like, I believe something like almost 7-to-1. And on gold, it's almost 3-to-1.
That's perfectly normal, right?
Well, it's perfectly normal as long as not too many people stand for delivery.
Right.
But that's why you're seeing the level of volatility in the gold that they have.
Yeah, the inventory itself.
In the inventory. Thank you.
Yeah,
Yep.
of course. And I think also to part of that too, just to touch on that, we've actually answered this question before, talked about it, but same thing for like palladium and platinum. Those are primarily economic metals. So it's, it's those would go down in a hyperinflationary environment or a currency reset. So, but you see gold and silver actually historically go higher during those
Right.
times.
And some are saying that the reason why gold is pulling back is because interest rates are up. I mean, really, I mean, that is true. And historically, it's how they manage things, but it's just a joke. Don't believe the lie. And I just got word, and I have not seen it. I haven't seen any of it. I haven't seen the raw footage or anything, but go ahead. You want to run it? This is for you, Ernest.
Worldwide exclusive.
Yet. I may be like dying. Okay, Tom is just taking a second to.
That's funny.
Yeah, it was pretty funny.
I mean,
and I did not have a cocktail, just so you know. Absolutely perfectly sober when I did this, whatever it looks like. I don't know. But if the guy that does, I remember one time I was saying, well, how do you get 1 billion views, right? They told me how to dance and sing. Oh my God.
She just saw the glimpse.
Was that it? Okay, good.
Ready?
Yeah.
No. Oh my gosh. But there's no sound.
There's no sound.
There's no sound. Oh, good. You guys don't know that I can't sing. But I didn't know the only words I really knew were rock and roll hoochie coo.
You got a hype man in the back too. Okay.
Oh, yeah, there you go. And so now I expect to get 1 billion views because I see, Ernest, that was for you. But I sang and I danced, even though we have no sound. That's good. I'm glad.
Well, maybe the sound is
Okay,
playing.
that's
We just
enough.
can't hear it.
That's enough. That's enough. We don't have to play the whole thing. That's enough. Okay. All right. Paul Jenkinson, 1452 asks, Francis Hunt, I love him, AKA Market Sniper. Can you please roll that up a little bit more so I can read the whole thing? Okay. Francis Hunt, AKA Market Sniper, said the central banks are trapped between a triangle of bond rates, oil price, and gold price. The longer this goes on, the worse this gets. 100 bazillion%. And the higher the fundamental value, when they do that overnight reset, the higher in terms of numbers that it goes. So even going back to the mortgage question, we'll calculate out based on the mortgage that you have or the level of house that you want to buy right now, or not the level of house that you want to buy if you're looking at in the future, and calculate out, okay, this is how much gold you need to do that. But as they take on more and more debt, then that overnight revaluation also shifts. And I'm not saying, and do not expect gold to actually go to its true fundamental value on that first overnight reset, because that's not really, don't know what the cover ratio is, and they would still have some leverage to lie to you after that. This is going to take care of it, and it really won't. But the higher that number goes, so it might take, I don't know, 10 ounces right now, might take a quarter of an ounce.
Yeah.
When that time comes.
Let me ask you this too. When it comes to that fundamental value number, what we use for our formula is kind of what's at least provable. We want to be able to point to the numbers and say, this is what we can prove on paper. But when we look at like the derivatives market, what does that kind of do for your idea of what they're going to have to do to fix this issue?
I think it's above quadrillions for sure. It'd be above quadrillions. And as outrageous as that might sound, we really have no idea of the true value that's at risk. And I was listening to, when I was driving this morning, I was listening to Bloomberg, and there was this very bright guy that was in there, and he was talking about he was talking about derivatives.
Oh, yeah.
And he was also talking about the value at risk and how those are flawed models, because those are the models that the banks create.
Or the
right?
OCC, if you go on to there, you can see exactly how they obfuscate and kind of, like you said, jerry rig these models to kind of work more in their favor.
I got news for you. All their jury rigging is the price of the contracts. Even that, and I think that worked out to, I don't know, 6.9 something quadrillion at the latest calculation.
Yeah.
But that also is just the value of the contracts, not reflecting the underlying value that's at risk.
Yeah.
Nobody knows what that is.
It's literally unknown.
Nobody. Right. It is literally unknown. That means that we're headed for a massive wall. They know the wall's there, but they don't know how big that wall is, how hard that wall is, or when we're going to hit it. So what do you want? When are you going to put your seatbelt on? Because gold and silver are your seatbelts, and they'll make sure that you can't get too hurt, right? Everybody's going to be impacted by this.
Yeah.
Everybody. There are no exceptions to that rule, but we can choose how we want to be impacted by it, or the level of impact. And that's the point in executing the strategy and making sure, please, you remember 2020. It wasn't that long ago. Make sure that you have surety in food, water, energy, security, barterability, wealth preservation, community, and shelter. Because what happens if we run out of those strategic reserves? It's hard for me to imagine that the government would allow that to happen unless they were really ready for the next major crisis.
Right.
And in which case, we will all be going up to the bug out, because that's where I have all of that food, water, energy, all of that covered. Do you have it covered? Get it covered, please. And next question would be hermit camper. Let's start using ounces as a measure of wealth as opposed to dollars. Totally agree with you. That's the way I measure my wealth.
Yeah.
Right? Is that how you measure your wealth?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I have to thank you for it. That I was like, wait a second, why leave myself exposed in this banking system? And what's a retirement account except for capital incarceration? You're just letting these big giant corporations take your wealth that you're loaning to them so that they can chase their own yields. So, I mean, yeah, being completely exited out of that.
It isn't just taking the yields, right? Chasing the yields. It's chasing the trading gains.
Yeah.
The banks love this volatility and this uncertainty. And all of this volatility makes everybody complacent.
Yeah.
That's the scary part.
That's very true. Because if you're in that, the fiat system and that volatility is there, you're just looking for whoever can make you feel safe. But this is the true safety, right?
Exactly.
Getting out of that fiat system. So to go back to the question, measuring your wealth in ounces of both. Both are you've got your barter here.
Functions.
Yeah, you've got your barter here. So I want to make sure that I can keep the bread loaf on the table and keep the lights on at the home. And this for that wealth preservation piece and turning into income producing assets when the time is right.
Yep. And also some of the fractionals to maintain your property taxes and those different kinds of things. These are the things. I mean, look, I've worked with it. I've studied currency life cycle since 87. This is a very, very thorough strategy.
Yeah, it is. It takes into account everything and anything. And to the best point, what if we're right? What if we're wrong?
Right. Doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter.
You're covered.
Yeah, the strategy accounts for it all.
Yep. And low blood pressure asks, why do stores run out of toilet paper, meat, eggs, but dealers never run out of silver. That's not really true. Dealers do and can run out of silver, which is why the way that we're set up is with multiple wholesalers, because sometimes it's challenging. And we've seen that. I mean, why do you think they had to change the prospectus on SLV? It was because they could not get their hands on enough silver. Demand had overwhelmed supply. And those charts that I showed you today on the COMEX, it's showing you the same thing. We have the spot markets that are off of their highs, and yet you have lots of entities standing for delivery.
Because they understand the spot market is, that contract price doesn't reflect the true value.
Exactly. So yeah, dealers will run out of it. And I can tell you for an absolute fact, since I've been accumulating since 2002, there are things that I have in my portfolio that I can't buy today because they're off the market. They're just not available. So you want to do this sooner than later, because that's where you have most of your choices. At some point in here, we will lose all choice.
Just part of the nature of a currency life cycle ending.
Exactly. And Jace 9702, convert a small private pension fund into an annuity and use the funds to invest in buy bullion or draw down the pension pot completely over 3 years due to income tax reasons. And buy bullion, convert a small private pension fund. An annuity is an insurance contract. So if you're talking about converting it into an annuity that then, presuming they can still continue to pay you, pays you out a little bit for your living, if you have access to the wealth that you're holding in the private pension fund, why not just convert it into private gold that you hold and silver that you hold, or draw down the pension pot completely over 3 years? So if you're doing it for income taxes, I mean, I don't know when we're going to lose all of our choices. I don't know when that is. But I don't like what I'm seeing. What can I tell you? This is a sentiment, and it's like people always think they have all the time in the world. We have as much time as we have. I can't tell you what that's going to be. I would definitely not be doing an annuity. So if those are my only two choices, I would probably do the drawdown. But you got to do whatever you're comfortable doing, regardless of what anybody, including me, says. You've got to do what you're comfortable doing. But I wouldn't touch, personally, I wouldn't touch an annuity with a 10-foot pole. And next question. Oops. Hermit Camper. Do you think me logging my assets with the app from my silver broker is access to my wealth? Is it a bad idea? I mean, look, it's kind of hard to say, because honestly, if we think we have any privacy at all, it's kind of an illusion of privacy.
Yeah.
However, once you do buy it, there is nothing to say that you didn't give it away. So if you, I don't know how to answer that. Do you have a better answer?
Well, I mean, essentially, if you're logging it on the app, it's just a digital, paper trail or a digital ledger of your assets. Your silver broker already has their own digital, copy of it anyway. So I think the app
doesn't matter too much.
Yeah, I think the app is maybe just for your convenience. If you didn't want to write down what you actually have, I wouldn't say it's a bad idea, no, but it's because, like you said, you think that it's, I guess, truly like you have your privacy, it's kind of an illusion because
It's an
who
illusion.
who knows what you signed up for when you signed the paperwork to open that account with
Yeah.
your silver broker. There's a lot of things that you have to take into consideration. I think having it, so long as you have the actual physical metal in your possession and it's not just paper on the screen of the app,
Mhm, mhm.
then that's important. That's the most important
Mhm.
thing.
Yeah, yeah. Now, how do we do you want to talk a little bit more about the book and how we help clients understand what they've done and what it's for? Because if we're talking about tracking, do you know what I'm talking
Oh
about?
yeah, you can.
No, you talk about it. You're the strategy
Well,
specialist. I created it, but
yeah.
if you're working with us, tell them how that piece works. 'Cause
Yes.
you might need to know that.
Yeah, absolutely. So knowing what you have as well is an important part of it. So you've got things for your barter position, things for that wealth preservation piece, and wealth, dynasty building, really leaving that legacy. Um, the gold that we use in our strategy breaks down actually into specific categories that
Functions.
and
Mhm,
functions.
mhm,
They
mhm.
serve a function for a particular reason, and Lynette has spent years of her life many years. Well, that's, I wasn't going to say many, but okay, you can say, but she has spent
I'm old, it's okay.
she has spent a long time seeing how each of these coins would function and what category do they belong in according to historical performance, right?
Mhm.
And so they've actually been color coded, so it's kind of easy. You know
Mhm.
what
We
that
make it easy. Yeah.
and we do have stickers available that you can actually sticker that your physical asset, so right just by glancing at it, okay, this is what I'm going to use for paying off that mortgage, or
Mhm.
this is what I'm going to use for putting into income producing real estate, or this is what I'm going to use for my legacy, right, to leave behind.
Mhm.
And it is all actually put and broken down for you in your strategy too. So we have our new website, which if you guys haven't checked it out yet, definitely
it's
have
amazing.
to. Yeah, super. Everything is amazing looking. A lot of information on there. But also, if you are a client with Zang International, you have your online portfolio. So you can track everything that you've got there. But we also have everything broken down into those categories for you, and we can always supply that to you. So you'll know exactly what you have. You'll know exactly what function it serves, what purpose it serves. And I think that's kind of all part of a comprehensive exit strategy. And that's what we've put together for people.
Yep. But just keep in mind, since it is physical, I mean, this is the kind of thing that I give when babies are born.
Mhm.
I usually do gold for weddings. Kind of depends on what the person is needing or wanting, but I mean, it's physical. So just saying. And Miramore asks, how can the feds take the gold from citizens of states that have legalized its use as money? See, good point. And that takes us back to the work that we're going to be doing this Monday, because if we can get enough states to support legalizing gold and silver as legal tender, taking it out of the tax rolls and not trying to take it over themselves. This is some things that are going on. Daniel will explain that. Then we have a much better shot at getting redeemable gold back in the system again at that federal level. But it is easier to access local politicians, right? And we don't really care whether they're Democrats or Republicans. We just want to make sure that that legislation gets passed. So, yeah, how could they do that? Isn't that a good point? Thank you for bringing that up. I think there was a question above. Yeah, human guy. Okay. Human guy 3922. The problem with pre-33 is you have to do math and explain the weight to anyone you would be transacting with. It kind of depends. Yes, right? So some of these transactions you may absolutely do direct when we get to it. If
Yeah.
it's an individual, let me tell you, everybody's going to be very well aware at that point how rapidly we are losing purchasing power, is what it is. So if you were like buying a piece of real estate from me, I would much rather, we can get to the valuations. You don't have to do the math. We'll do the math. We'll broker that whole, well, as much of the transaction as we can. We'll broker and make sure that you're in the right place. For others, yeah, you'll send it in. We will liquidate it into whatever the current fiat is, and then you pay it off like that. So it kind of depends, but we're going to be here for you, with you through this whole thing to make sure that you get what you need.
Yeah.
So, and I like the pre-33s because if you're working with bullion and they do an overt confiscation, you can't use it.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was gonna say to the point of that. You know, I can't foresee a problem with pre-33 because if you're holding the only asset that people can legally use and get the value out of, I mean, that doesn't that kind of put you in like
the driver's seat,
right, the better position?
Well,
So,
it does.
yeah.
And think about this too. What's the fundamental value of an ounce of gold? Even when you're buying the pre-33s, are you even, well, unless you're looking for legacy, so like an ultra rarity, you're not spending more than fundamental value, including everything. In fact, you're probably pretty well below that fundamental value. So even if you just use it, this is not what I'm suggesting, but I'm showing you worst case scenario, right? Loses all of its collectible value, which it wouldn't, because to your point, if this is the only kind of gold that you can legally hold and use, like my Uncle Al had it, you know, but even if it lost all of that, you're still buying it so far below its fundamental value. That's the point. So whether we liquidate it for you, I mean, our job on the way out is to capture the most gains for you. So we'll have some more work to do on that end when we get there to see what is in place. I mean, there was a time when a string would capture up to a 30% bonus.
Oh, yeah.
Right? Now, I don't know if that's going to be it right now. That's not true. But is that going to be true in the future? Maybe it will, maybe it won't. But that's our job, right? Our job on the way out is to capture the most for you. And so whether that's using it direct and what we have to do to make sure that everybody's aware of the valuations there in terms of dollars, or converting it into the fiat so you can execute the next part of the strategy, and how exactly we're going to do that, because there are several different avenues that we can use to do that. And we'll just have to look at what makes the most sense. You know, either way, that's the point of doing business with Zang International, because this isn't just a transaction. It's not just a boom, there you go, good luck to you. You got to know everything. We'll teach you everything because we love educated clients. We love people that can put their best interest first, even if you disagree with us. Right. We're okay with that. You know, just make sure that you're doing it in an educated way. So yeah, that part doesn't bother me like at all, because we'll be there for you through this whole entire piece. And we'll do whatever we have to do to make sure that you get the full value. And Super Cooper 4374. I realize you don't personally trade silver for gold and vice versa. That's true. However, where would I go to trade metals efficiently? The ratio is close to my silver to gold trade box. Well, I mean, we can do it for you. You're right. Personally, that's not a choice that I would make because I don't like to think about that stuff. But we can convert it. You've converted.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. It's a pretty simple process that we actually have for, you know, if it's like your strike price that you're looking for, whatever that ratio is, then yeah, I mean, you could always give us a call. Anybody here knows the process. They could walk you through that, because that's going to be, I mean, I can say as well, we're like very aggressive on the bid for people's
Mhm.
for people's metals. Like, I mean, some places are going to be way under what we could offer. I've noticed. So I think it is at least worth it to call us and
Right.
get that. It's a, not just give you a soft bid, and if it makes sense, the process is really easy to do that conversion. But at least then you have a good transparent number
Right.
that if you had to go locally to do it, you can at least know that they'd be giving you a price that would be, not trying to take advantage
Appropriate.
of you.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
And actually, I'd like to bring that up because one of the things that I found when I was in your position is you tell people, look, if you need to liquidate, call us first.
Yeah.
You can do whatever you want. You have it. We'll support whatever you're going to do, but call us first to get a price because, I mean, I've seen people get royally screwed
Yeah.
because they didn't do that. Why? We're not going to yell at you. We're not going to give you a hard time. We're not going to try and talk you out of anything.
Yeah.
We're going to be there to support whatever it is that you're trying to do, but we want to make sure that you're fairly compensated. So please just call us first. We'll do the work on our end just to let you know. You'll still have it in your possession. You choose something else, you choose something else. That's up to you. And we're still going to love you through it. It doesn't matter. We're a community.
Yeah.
So I did want to say that because I've seen people do that and you're like, why? Why would you do that? They don't have your best interest at heart. They're going to try and get everything they can out of you. Call us. We'll give you a price. You call around and get a different price or decide to do something else. Rock and roll hoochie coo.
Oh.
For you, Ernest. And Tron Petty says, hi, all. I always get lots of info from Lynette, even when she was with the other team. When you need to sell your metals, should you use a pawn shop or a metals dealer? You use a trusted metals dealer. And again, it goes back to just call us. I mean, if you're working with a good dealer, then they have a standardized everything. Everything is standardized so that you know it up front, you know it going in, and you know it going out. So I'll go back to call us, but yes, no, not a pawn shop. No, please no. And not just any metals dealer. Don't just take one word for it. And you don't even have to take one word for, our word either. But everything we do is standardized. So you know it up front, you know it on the way out. And Renee Dubois asks, if a confiscation were to happen, could most gold holders exchange for silver and then the silver price goes up substantially, then trade back to gold at the appropriate time when purchases are allowed? Well, the answer is yes, you could do that. And it would probably push, if that would increase huge demand for silver, then it would push the price up. So yes, but I can tell you they took it away in 33 and we couldn't hold it again until 1976. That's a long time to be holding that. Now, fortunately, my uncle was bright. And so as he'd go into homes and they'd say, what am I going to do with this gold? They didn't realize that they could have continued to accumulate. He was smart. He did, and he accumulated a lot of it. But why not just have the kind of gold that has multiple layers of protection on there? Because while governments can do anything they want, they can change any laws, they can. The likelihood of them changing the laws that benefit them
Right.
are probably non-existent.
Yeah, slim to none. And just to also kind of look at the order of events there. So, I think that maybe it's something worth trying to talk about what kind of volatility or like chaos is there during a currency reset too, right?
Well, there's tremendous volatility and tremendous chaos because there are all of these things like we're seeing now. We've got war, we've got inflation, we've got human rights, we've got, well, we're in the melt up phase of the stock market, but you've got a tremendous amount of overvaluations going on. Like there are all of these things that happen around a currency reset, and it really is about getting you to look over here so you're not looking over here.
Yeah, and I think part of if you're trying to pull off like a multi-step complex, let me take my gold into silver, then wait till the right time to turn the silver back into gold. There's I think more risk. Yeah,
there is more risk.
There is more risk
because you really don't know. I mean, why not establish your goals? I mean, that's the way. I'm not a trader. You got to understand. I mean, I had those licenses and I did it a teeny bit in the beginning because I was a hot dog, right? Like, how does this work? I think I'm smart enough, whatever. But you get so caught up in that trading that it's not fun.
Right.
You are married to that screen. I'm a strategist. I am not a short-term trader. I am a long-term strategist. I want to look at the patterns. I want to shift accordingly. And because I am really clear on what it looks like as a currency, as a fiat money ages, just like we're all familiar with what it looks like when a human ages. You just want to get in the right place, establish your goals, lay everything in, and then relax. I don't really worry about a confiscation because I don't own any bullion other than, and this is in jewelry form, but, so I don't worry about a confiscation because I have those extra layers of protection. And I'm in the category with the same category that somebody that's going to spend $20 million on 1 ounce of gold. I'm in that same category, though I'm not spending even marginally near that.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So I think there's just like a lot to consider when we're talking about like, okay, yes, you can do the trading thing. Everybody's got to do what's going to be most comfortable for them. We just try and kind of go more risk off and have everything set in place. So that exit strategy is pretty straightforward and simple. Not, hey, you have to now look at this and find a buyer for how many ounces of silver. How are you going to get it to them? Are they going to be giving you the true value of it? Because we saw it with when silver ran up to $100-something an ounce. Not a lot of places were giving you 100-something an ounce, right?
Well, a lot of especially the mom and pops or smaller dealers,
I
mean, they don't have deep pockets.
Right.
So it wasn't whether or not they couldn't buy because they didn't have the money to buy.
Yeah.
Right. That is the advantage of how we're set up. That's just not an issue for us.
Yeah.
For multiple reasons. But just establish your strategy. Position it. I mean, and this, by the way, is also the point of understanding the true fundamental value of every or any asset, because that is the only way that you really know if something's undervalued, fairly valued, or overvalued. Therefore, do I want to buy it? Do I want to hold it? Do I want to liquidate it? If you're trying to play their fiat money game where you get blinded by numbers. Ooh, I hit this, so now I'm going to do that. I mean, do you really think that you're smarter than Wall Street is? Because I don't think I'm smarter than that. I mean, maybe if I spent enough time in there, but that's an ugly place. I don't want to. I just, I'm glad I did. I'm very glad. I'm so grateful, actually, that I had all of those experiences because I needed to. I needed to have them so I could understand what these guys are saying because it's a different language. That's why my goal became to translate financial noise into understandable language so that you, the individual, the public, could make educated choices that actually puts your best interest first. I am crystal clear on the fundamental value of an ounce of gold. I can't say that I've never paid more than fundamental value because the more debt they grow, the higher that number goes. And in the legacy, I'm looking more at rarity. But that's the kind of gold that I don't, hopefully, will be passed down through many, many generations, right? But for anything that I'm executing a strategy with, I don't even go marginally near that fundamental value. It's not necessary, but I want that category.
Right.
I want that category. So, next question is Nathan Patel, 1786. The status of Basel III Endgame in the U.S. is expected to be in full compliance by July 1st, 2028. Is this when gold will be revalued? If so, what will it be revalued to? You know, July 1st of 2028 could certainly be somewhere in the vicinity of when we would have the revaluation. If that is indeed accurate, and that's when they do that overnight revaluation, that means that we have gone through a huge bout of hyperinflation.
Right. That happens first.
That happens first. It always happens first. Because what they do is they use that revaluation to try and get the public back into the fold.
Yeah.
Right? Deal with the debt, repay the debt with, in this country, dollars that have no value, but to get the see now everything's okay. We just lopped off a whole bunch of zeros. That loaf of bread that cost you $8,000, look at this, it only costs you $8 now. So what will it be revalued to if they were to do it today? Somewhere up to $40,000 if they did it on a one-to-one basis. What we don't know, and we will not know until the actual event, is what level of coverage they're going to do. Chances are pretty good it won't be a one-to-one, right? And on average, historically, it's 1,000 to 1. So when Venezuela, in their first revaluation, that spot market on gold went up over 3,500%. Now they've also now subsequently done another 5 overnight revaluations, and globally on average we get 3. But you know, Zimbabwe is also on their 6th iteration.
Yeah.
Now, if it's the whole world, I don't know. We're going to see. So I can't tell you what that number is, but I can tell you in terms of fiat dollars, substantially higher than where it is right now. Do you want to add anything to that?
Yeah. I mean, well, so for Basel III, I guess I kind of have like my own opinions on it and what its function really is.
Confidence.
Yeah. The thing that I found very interesting about Basel III Endgame is, first of all, they called it Endgame.
Which, I know.
I'm like, is that okay? But the other thing is, what it allowed banks to do is it allowed them to take fiat dollars on they call it their risk-weighted assets. And it allowed them to, like, the language of it says, hey, you can take those fiat dollars and you can swap it for gold and nothing will change on your risk-weighted assets. So that's when they said that gold was made a tier 1 asset, it just means that for accounting purposes for banks, they can use it in substitute of dollars. I think that's an interesting maybe accounting thing.
Probably kind of like the gold revaluation account.
Right. So
right.
it's
we're in a major era of deregulation.
Yeah.
We even were talking about that. Kenneth has a piece that's coming up on the deregulation. So you definitely want to watch it. It's really, really good. I'm very proud of him.
Thank you.
No, it's fabulous. So, understand that this is not about protecting you. None of it is. Basel III was supposed to be like Dodd-Frank, but around the world, and particularly in the US, there's so much deregulation that's happening that just makes it more risky.
Yeah.
hides. What were you going to say?
Oh, I was
You looked
saying,
like you were going to say something.
I was going to say, talking about Dodd-Frank, did Dodd-Frank, was it really supposed to benefit us?
No, they changed
Right.
a lot of. They didn't even institute most of the rules
Right.
that autocrats wrote, right?
Yeah.
But then before they immediately started tearing them down, but they didn't take out the bail-in.
Yeah, that hierarchy is
still
still there too. Yeah, who gets
Yeah.
paid out first? That's still there.
Derivatives. Yeah, I feel real good about that.
So yeah, that's just funny to your point about that. Yeah, I guess we have to look at who stands to gain what when these kind of things get pushed through. And I can tell you this much, Lynette. I feel like this is what makes me feel like, okay, you can't play games with this because it's physical, it's in your possession. It's now they can maybe play games with that manipulated contract spot price.
What about the tokenization?
Yeah, and tokenization.
I mean, that's what they want to do. They want to tokenize all of these assets that at this point are out of their reach.
Yeah, because it puts it right in their reach.
They are the banks. Primarily, they are the banks.
Yeah.
But their leverage level is so extreme. It's worse than it was prior to 2008.
Yeah.
So they need more assets so that they can keep growing that leverage, because you have to understand, in a debt-based system, you have to have new money. So tokenizing the gold and the silver, boy, they encourage you to just spend your equity, spend your wealth, and before you know it.
And to the point of that too, if they tokenize it, this is like a 1 ounce coin, and we can get a fractional like 10th ounce down out of that. But if this is tokenized, that could go down to itty bitty, millionths of an ounce, or however small they want to quantitate it. And I think that to your point, that creates more leverage for them. That creates more opportunities for them to take this wealth from us, and that's
you're
why
volunteering it.
Yeah.
It isn't just taking it, right?
I guess it's volunteering
like
it.
You have all of your equity on your phone.
Yeah.
And you're shopping. And AI is encouraging you because they know how you think. They know what your hot buttons are.
And it's immediate settlement, so you don't.
Right.
I think there was one thing that I had read where you could just have the equity of your home right in your banking app. And if you're scrolling and you see that new, boat that you're like, yeah, I really got to have that. I do have $250,000 of equity in my house.
And that boat's only $50,000 or whatever that is. Yeah. I mean, look, they've been talking about tokenization. I think the very first video I ever did was 2015 on tokenization.
Oh, wow. That's awesome. I'd like to watch that video. Yeah, I got to watch that. I got to go back and watch that for sure. But yeah, so I guess just to kind of go into this. I
broke the internet with that one, actually. That was the gift that just kept giving. It was the three amigos that I didn't know what I was talking about. I mean, it was great. It was so much fun, I got to say.
Yeah. But look at where we're at now. Kind of like everything you were talking about is probably coming to fruition.
Oh my, yep.
So.
Yep. Okay. And Tom Reese, 6,500. Should I be in mining stocks? That's up to you. But you need to understand, a mining stock is a stock. And so it carries with it the debt and everything else. Mining stocks are not physical gold or silver. You cannot go to the mine and go, ooh, that little flake is mine. It doesn't work like that. So, I mean, I do a lot of mining events,
Let me pick your brain on mining stocks.
Okay.
So on one end, if there is a confiscation of bullion, would that then cause a complete collapse of demand in miners?
Not really, because typically what they would do is fix the price of gold, right, for the miners, but they're already doing things like increasing royalties, they're taking over more and more and more
Yeah, the mining sector.
of the mining sector,
could
and
the
it's a
government-
huge risk.
Could the government privatize it?
Totally. They could totally privatize it. They could actually even nationalize it. They
Yeah,
can
nationalize
do
it.
anything they want,
Yeah.
right?
Okay.
And after 2008, mine nationalization was the biggest risk to miners, nationalization.
Interesting.
So, you have to listen to the verbiage too, because they're not going to say nationalization. They're going to say, well, we're increasing royalties, and or you have to sell to the
A
government
percentage of what you're pulling out of the ground.
20% of
Yeah.
what you're pulling out of the ground in the local currency that's being hyperinflated away. So you have to do what you're comfortable with. You just need to understand that if it is a gold mining stock, it is a stock. And Super Cooper 4374. How do I trade silver bullion for gold bullion? Okay. You said it was easy. Rock and roll Hachiko.
Yeah. Well, it's a very straightforward process here with Zang International. First and foremost, we would want to give you a soft bid on, the value of your silver, depending on how much you have and what form it's in. And then if that soft bid sounds like something that makes sense to you,
Would you also do a soft bid on the gold because
Right.
they're going to be converting?
Right, going to be converting it. Yeah. So you'll kind of have an idea of, based on the current spot contract prices, what you'd be looking at for the conversion.
Mhm.
But yeah, so if it were to make sense, we have a process where you could do either USPS or FedEx. We have like a really easy kind of guideline that we help you go through. If you follow the guideline, guess what? Your metals being sent to us covered under our insurance indemnification. So you don't even have to pay for the insurance, which is good.
Mhm.
So-
How long does that whole process take from start to finish usually?
Oh yeah, it just will depend on how fast somebody wants to get down to FedEx or USPS.
Okay,
Yeah,
and
'cause
then
then it's
what's
overnight.
that that's an
Typically.
overnight
Yeah, it's
process?
like it's an
Okay.
overnight shipping that you have to do to get covered under the insurance at least,
Okay.
and then it gets to our secure fulfillment warehouse typically the next day. They get it in depending on how busy they are. Right, once they get it in intake, they just look it over, make sure it is what it is. Right, make sure everything checks out, and then we get back with that final hard bid. It could be a 2-day process, at the shortest. So it's pretty fast. And like I said, I've noticed that we're very aggressive on what our actual buyback is. So you can kind of weigh the options on your end once you get that soft bid. Because if you're like, hey, I'd rather do it locally, then you can do it locally. Might be faster if they're going to give you, at least, like, to your point, they're not going to try and take advantage of you on it.
Mhm.
Sure. But that's kind of the process. You just find somebody who is willing to take. Now, I don't know if you go somewhere local, if they'll just straight up say, okay, well, here's how many ounces of gold we're going to give you. I don't know if they'd make somebody say, well, you have to take cash first, and then that might be a
I
reportable
think
thing.
they would. I
but-
would think that they would convert it.
Yeah.
I don't think that would be like a big thing.
Yeah. So yeah, but it's pretty straightforward from there. You've got to know how much silver you've got and how much gold you're going to get in return.
Yep. Okay, good. And Jason Garza, 7746. Is real estate a good exit plan? What might be the best? Well, it could be, but it really depends on the tools that you have to work with. So
Yeah.
what I mean by that is I had this client who was an older woman, and she did not have any children. She didn't have anybody around, right? But boy, did she want that rental property. The problem is who's going to maintain that property.
Right.
So for her or somebody in that circumstance, that might not be the right way to go. You might need more passive income. And so we'd be looking at dividends. We might be looking at rights, different things. We're going to fine tune your exit strategy to you, right? And then what we're going to convert it into. On the other side of that, like I have a couple of son-in-laws that happen to be very handy.
Mhm.
So for me to convert into income producing, say, real estate, and let them deal with the management, the management repairs, whatever. Okay. So that's what I'm saying. It kind of depends on what your goals are and what you have to work with, because she really wanted that rental real estate in the worst way, but she had no way to maintain it. She had no way to support it.
Yeah.
So, and Human Guy 3922, find someone to trade with or sell at a loss and buy gold. Well, I mean, we'll trade it with you. That's not a problem. Just call us. Talk everything through. You're over there, we're over here. We'll just give you a lot of food for thought, and then you decide what supports your goals. Because that is really our goal, is to help you make educated choices that puts your goals first. Because honestly, at the end of the day, you are the one that's going to reap the rewards or suffer the consequences of any of the choices that you make. So it has to be on you. It really does. We'll do everything in our power to help educate you so that you're making those educated choices. But ultimately, it has to be to you. You want to add anything?
No, I think you covered it. Yeah.
Okie dokie. And Rylank 2010. What would you do if you did have an annuity, whatever options? Well, if I had an annuity, number one, I would look to see who owns that annuity because chances are pretty good it was done in private markets. They have basically gone in. I did a video, I don't know, maybe, 7, 8, 9 months ago on private equity into the insurance. So I'm going to want to know, number one, who actually owns that, because you'll see all over the annuity, it says based on the claims paying ability of the entity. And what a lot of those private entities have done is they buy the insurance company, then they create all of these garbage products, and it's those garbage products that go into the annuity. Not okay with me. So if I did have an annuity, I'd look to see who the owner is, and I would also look to see getting out of it. I would absolutely look to see getting out of it. But if you're comfortable with an annuity, I'm not going to tell you to liquidate it. I wouldn't own one because it's just about fees for them. I don't trust the insurance companies because their job is not to pay out. Their job is to keep the premiums, to keep everything. And all of that is just a contract based upon the claims paying ability of the company. And when I was a stockbroker, because I had all those licenses, and I remember different insurance companies that actually were going out of business or went out of business, and then other insurance companies came in and just bought them so that the holders of those contracts never even knew. Why did they not want them to know? Because then you'd have less confidence in them, right? So, everything works fine until it doesn't. And that's what I would do. I'd see who owns it, and I'd see what I needed to do to liquidate it. And by the way, and I know that you can talk to this too, part of the strategy is to recoup any fees, any losses, any taxes, anything, because the strategy is set up in a full circle, right? Like your barterable part of the portfolio. Well, that's designed to be used. Yeah. But if you use up, this is where I have some heartburn over the interest rate argument. That pays interest. But where the heartburn is if you put your principal in jeopardy for that little 5% interest, you're putting 95% in jeopardy. If you lose your principal, what do you have to work with when we're going into the next monetary regime? You have nothing. So part of the strategy is to make sure that you're protecting everything that you have, but you're made whole for any fees, taxes, losses, etc. Did you want to add to that?
Yeah, I mean that is what the strategy is supposed to cover. We want to make sure that you're able to be made whole, because of the nature of the, retirement account system or insurance system. We kind of said it earlier, taxation is just another form of confiscation.
Yeah.
And that's why this whole system is designed to keep you in there as long as they possibly can. They deter you from exiting with
Oh,
things
yeah.
like taxes and fees.
If anybody is of a mind, because I have done this, where you read, because a lot of this is, if it's government or even the Federal Reserve, which is not a government agency, it's a private corporation. And 5 years after they make the announcement of what they're going to do, you can read what they were talking about to set it up. If you ever read it, I mean, it's kind of blows my mind, the things that they actually say. Like when they were setting up the system, corporations wanted to pay people less, but they knew that if you were getting $10, you weren't going to accept 5. If, however, they could make that 10 spend like 5 and they got the rest of it, they were good. Governments actually said that they wanted to be able to tax people without them really understanding that that's what it was. So in all of these regards, they also said, if people have to work harder to maintain their standard of living, they have less time to pay attention to what we're doing.
Yeah.
Oh my God. How hard do you think people have to work now to try and feed their families and put gas in the car and maintain the roof over their heads?
Yeah, for most people,
it's
not a one income household anymore. That's for sure.
It's impossible.
You've got both. If you've got two people at the house, they're both having to work, and there's not enough time in the day, right, for them to look into, hey, how does money work? How does a dollar actually function?
Right.
They don't think about it. All they think about is, I need that next dollar because they need to keep the roof over their head.
Yeah.
And it is unfortunate. And, that's part of why our strategy is to get yourself a seat at that table of the people that are sitting there telling you straight out, hey, we want to call the shots and we don't want you to know any better. Well, we want you to know better. Yeah. And we want you to have choices, have the option, because at the end of the day, if we don't get that option back into the hands of the people in it,
what's it look like?
Yeah,
you have a little one. He's what, 2 years old?
3, just
3.
Yeah.
Oh, happy birthday! I mean, this is who we have to do it for.
Yeah,
we don't have to do it for me. I'm old and I have plenty. We have to do it for all these generations.
Yeah,
and it's time for us to take our power back. So I'm really glad that you said that. That's what the Global Citizens for Sound Money movement is all about. And that's why if we can get 3% of the population to convert their garbage fiat into sound money, we can have a seat at the table.
Yeah.
We can do this. So really, that's going to be this coming Monday at 6:00 Eastern time. And then after that, the second Monday of every month at 6:00 Eastern time. And SQ7944 asks, Lynette, what are your thoughts on someone Mario Ineco, he says Mario I, but I know it's Mario Ineco, interviewed recently regarding the media not covering China being trillions in debt from pre-2008 excess printing, while US, UK, Japan focused on? Well, let's see. What are my thoughts on it? I think we really have no idea what any of these governments or central banks are doing. China, first of all, Japan really wrote the book on how to deal with deflation, right? They've been in deflation since the early 90s. China, I mean, I just don't know how open any of them are, but I don't know until recently the media not covering China being trillions in debt. Haven't you read the debt levels of China? And this is why the government and the population, China's kind of interesting because up until 2006, their citizens couldn't hold gold. And then in 2006, they changed the rules, just like we did, they did for us back in the 70s.
Right.
And then they could hold it in the banking system.
Mm.
Easier to take away from the public if it's held in the banking system, isn't it?
Yeah.
But that market has evolved, and a lot of people in China, the citizens, do it in little teeny pieces, do it in jewelry, but they still have all that gold in the banks. So I don't know that the media is not covering the level of debt. Everybody's in massive debts. That's why this is going to be a global reset. And China, I mean, they funded all of those ghost cities. They are hugely in debt. So I'm not really sure. I didn't hear that interview, but China's massively in debt. But do I think we really know the extent of it? Do I think we really know how much gold China really holds? But they're buying it, aren't they? And no gold leaves China. If you're going to go visit it, you better, and you're going to take a gold necklace or anything in with you, you better declare it on the way in, or it is not going home with you.
And also, I thought it was an interesting thing when China's largest construction company for their real estate went bankrupt. When we talk about those ghost cities, I mean, how much, I guess really it's like how much of a Ponzi scheme was that if they're building cities that nobody ever had any intention of living in or purchasing anything out of. I don't know. It's like, kind of like they took a playbook out of the United States on that one.
But, China in general is more prone toward gambling, right? And so the way that they set the system up, but I don't know that I'm sorry, I can't really address that because I didn't listen to the interview. So I don't know. And I know China's in deep doo-doo. We all are. There's nobody on this planet that isn't in, no country on this planet that isn't deeply in debt. It's a debt system.
Right.
Okie doke. Nuts for Cocoa from Instagram. If people put their precious metals in a trust, will that protect against confiscation? I don't know that it protects against government confiscation, but it could certainly protect against others trying to take it from you. And I will tell you that I do have mine in a trust. So, but if the government wants to take it, governments get to do any darn thing they want. And that's why we have to take our power back. That's why we have to get redeemable gold back in the system, because then they can't do whatever they want.
Right.
Because you have power over them and I have power over them. It's a good thing. Joseph Weldeberger, is gold and silver or capitalist scams? They are not even, okay, I'm going to read it through twice. Is gold and silver or capitalist scams? They are not even slightly rare, and tungsten makes for a safer choice for a wedding. I need more. Tom, you need to move it up more. For wedding bands, I know it goes on 2 pages. On bands than gold, which is prone to scratching. Oops. Please don't buy any gold. Well, I buy lots of gold, and tungsten is not a monetary metal, and this is a currency life cycle issue. So if you are comfortable with tungsten, then you have tungsten. And I don't know what the market is for tungsten, but I do know what the market is for physical gold and physical silver. 33 different users of physical gold, 36 different global users of physical silver, full functionality, full demand. And guess what? According to the Bank for International Settlements, gold held at home is the only financial asset that runs zero counterparty risk. Tungsten is counterparty risk. Everything else is counterparty risk. But you do what you're comfortable with. And, okay, so I need you to go up a little bit. There you go. Hermit Camper. I treat my metals portfolio the same as my stock portfolio. There you go. You're accumulating it. You have a reason why you're making the choices that you're making. And I'm glad that you're doing both, because now you have a properly diversified portfolio. What if I'm right? What if I'm wrong? If you put everything in tungsten, what happens if you're wrong? You're wrong. You're done. But what if I'm right? What if I'm wrong? If you're properly diversifying your portfolio, okay to have your intangibles over here. You got to do what's right for you. But now you have your tangibles over here to offset it. Good job. Sandy Anderson asks, hi, Lynette, you look pretty tonight. Oh, thank you so much. Consider inviting David Jensen for an interview on your channel. His knowledge of the silver market is very impressive. I'll write that down, and I would absolutely do that.
Oh, good. You got the pen and paper.
Yes. Okie dokie. And Tom Reese, 6,500. What about Texas Precious Metals Depository? Should I get out? You know, Texas is kind of interesting. Could you do me a favor and come on Monday at 6 Eastern time and present that question to Daniel Diaz and the legislator that we will have there? That's a great, great question. And I know some things are happening in Texas. But let's, and Tom, could you make sure that I want you to come on Monday, but even if you don't, I think that's a question that'll get answered on Monday. And Roland Brown, 6415, is silver sale back to dealers causing delays for payments? Not here at all. So no. Next question. LCDP20D. Outside of confiscation, are there any other reasons for pre-33s? Is it all doom and gloom? Actually, I do not consider myself a doom and gloomer at all. And yes, there are reasons for pre-33s. And that takes us back to kind of a leveraged way, because typically they behave differently because of the rarity factor. And it kind of works like this. You can think of it like an auction. And let's say that there are 10 ounces of gold on the table, and there are 10 people at this auction, and everybody wants one. Well, okay, wherever the auction opens up, everybody's going to pay the same thing. They're going to walk away happy.
Yeah.
But then there's this table, and there's one piece on it, and everybody wants it. Well, whoever is willing to pay the most for it is going to get it. But then you had those 9 other people that wanted it and couldn't get it. So what I found over the years, and I've shown you this before, I will show you again, moving into the future, but depending upon the quality and the rarity, the collectible coins move. And that is number one, that is purely a physical market until you get in the one where there's the highest populations and the lowest quality level. Once you get past that, though, the spot price doesn't really matter. It's a true supply and demand market. And they typically operate at some multiple above where the spot market and the bullion market is. So depending upon what you're trying to accomplish, that goes back to what you were saying earlier with the color coding, depending upon what we're going to do.
Yeah.
Truthfully, you can use anything for any parts of the strategy. It's just what's going to get you there in the most efficient manner. And that's really where the collectibles come in. And what I mean by quality and rarity has nothing to do with gold content. It has to do with blemish level, because 100 years ago, they were not thinking about this market. So they would have thrown them in a pouch or thrown them in a vault or what have you. And so that's the level of blemish. And then it is the rarity level, because of course, so many coins were turned in 33 and they were melted down. So quality is blemish. It goes between 60 and 70, 60 having the most blemishes, 70 having the basically being perfect. I've personally never seen an old 70, but I do believe I actually own a 68 or so, several of those, but I bought them so long ago when I actually could. Have you seen any 68s come up?
Yeah. Well, we just got a list in a little bit ago, and there's some on there. Yeah, but they are few and far between. Yeah.
Yeah. So, so yes, it really depends on what it is that you're trying to accomplish. And we've done the studies to see how the different behaviors are, but it's typically some multiple, depending upon the quality and rarity of the spot market. It's kind of an aggressive leveraged way to play it while we're
Yeah.
also doing protection against potential confiscation. Because I can't guarantee an over confiscation one way or the other. Could
Yeah.
say they've done it before, and I think they'll do it again. Maybe I'm right, maybe I'm wrong, but again, it goes back to fundamental value, doesn't it? Doesn't matter whether I'm right or wrong.
You're right.
You know, I know that I've paid substantially less than what it's truly worth. It's on sale. It's a bargain. And no, it's not all doom and gloom. It's about opportunity because wealth never disappears. It merely shifts location. Inflation is about having your wealth shift away from you and your work and all of that. Let's stop that, right? Let's stop that. Inflation is not a monetary phenomenon. We had no booms and busts. We had no inflation on when we were on the buy metal with fully backed and convertible into gold and silver. It's a fiat money phenomenon because it is done by design and with intent. Problem is we're at the end. And Sandy Anderson asks, will global hyperinflation last longer or shorter than for a single country? And how many years do you expect it to last? That's a great question, Sandy. Global hyperinflation is more likely to be much more painful for more than likely a shorter period of time. And I say that because they're going to have to come up with the solution, which is shifting us into a new system. And that takes a minute because the first thing they have to do, especially since the new system they have in mind, is a combination of debt and purchases. Well, in order to grow more debt in an environment where you already can't pay it back, you can't just keep growing debt to the sky.
Right.
They have to burn that off. And if they do it we saw them do things in a globally coordinated efforts, meaning central banks in a globally coordinated effort after 2008.
On a global level, it's I think you're right. It has would some other countries get hit harder necessarily? Maybe
I think
depending
we're
on
going to get hit the hardest, to
yeah,
be honest
depending
with
on
you.
debt level, right? Yeah. But I do agree. I think it's because it's not like the government doesn't know what they're going to transition us into if that's what if they're going to get what they want out
Yeah,
of
they've
it.
been doing it since 2009.
Yeah. So it's not
Putting it in place.
so they don't have to sit there and think, okay, how are we going to handle this, right? They already
They're
know.
doing that.
Yeah, and the hyperinflation, it's just a stage. This happens in phases, right? So it's no different than when they launch their rockets to the moon or whatever. There's phases that have to happen. They've got to burn a bunch of fuel at first to get it off the ground, and then that detaches and they're on the next phase. I think that's kind of what we see in a currency reset. You've got that big combustion at first. That's that hyperinflation. That's that phase of burning off that debt. And then they move to the next phase, which would be, getting that transition done onto that new form of currency. So
Then the next part, and how many years do you expect it to last? I can tell you that personally, I established my barterable part of the portfolio for 10 years. But I also have surety in food, water, energy, security. that barterability, which for me is primarily silver, but not totally silver, right? Any talent you have, anything physical that you have, all of this is barterable. Gold
Yes.
is, yep.
A lot of silver there.
Yep, a lot of silver there. Gold is for wealth preservation, but not just gold for wealth preservation. Again, it goes back to having surety in all of those areas.
Yeah.
I think community is the most important piece right now because we don't have the luxury of time. I mean, if we run out of energy in June, which is very hard to comprehend, but if that were to happen, aren't you coming up to the cabin?
Yep. And I know how to hunt, so I'll make myself useful.
Yeah. And we do have guns and ammos up there, but we also have a lot of food. We have everything. We have food, water, energy security, barterability, wealth preservation. I have lots of toilet paper up there.
There you go.
Barterability, wealth preservation, and we have a nice community going up. So just get it done. And I would say probably I'm prepared for 10 years or more. Right.
Yeah.
But the barterable part, the silver part of my portfolio is at 10 years for myself and my children. Want to add anything?
Yeah, no, I think that,
Covers
that's what the strategy is covered for. And again, it's all based on what your personal approach would be to it. Anything can be customized to what what our specific client is looking for.
Well, yeah, because don't you break it down first, we need to know how much it costs you per year
Right.
for your current standard of living.
Yeah.
Right. And then you just do a multiple of that.
Right.
So I figured since this is a global issue, it's going to take a minute to work through because there's an awful lot of global debt that has to be burned off.
Yeah.
And they need a big enough crisis. I'm hopeful. I don't know if I can make this happen, but I'm hopeful that I've been invited to speak in Africa next March.
Oh, wow.
And so, yeah, so at this point, I'm planning on doing it. But when I go there, I have to go to Zimbabwe. Now, I've been following Zimbabwe, their economy and their hyperinflation since 2006.
Wow.
So I've seen every single overnight revaluation. What I'd like to do, so you guys, if you know anybody or any leads, because we're working on this, I want to go there and talk to the people that have been living through this for the last 20 years.
Yeah.
I want to go to the places where they pan for gold so that the normal average person can feed their family. I know things are changing. They're looking at reversing what they did in 2000 with the land because that wasn't such a hot idea for their economy. But they're not getting the public confidence back no matter what they're doing. If they've got to reverse what they did, 26 years ago in an attempt, I mean, what does that tell you? So I'm very hopeful to have an opportunity to speak to people that have actually lived through it for a prolonged period of time. I don't know if I can make it happen or not. I would like to talk to somebody in the government or somebody at the central bank. I don't know if I can make that happen, but maybe somebody out there knows somebody who might know somebody. And I am going to be getting with Francis and seeing if he can help.
Oh, yeah.
A contact and the guys the other people that own the vault down in Panama, because they're also from Cape Town.
Okay. Yeah.
So, and just so you know, that event I believe is in Cape Town. So, wiggles and wonders. What is the difference between bullion gold coin and $5 gold coin? Why is bullion allowed to be confiscated? Is a better question between bullion, and bullion is classified as monetary gold, which is what allows it to be confiscated overtly. I mean, they're doing it with everything. But that's why. Now you can have a $5 bullion coin, or you can have a pre-1933 $5 coin, which we might have in there. If it's minted prior to 1933, then it is classified as a collectible. The easiest way for you to see the difference, frankly, is to go into the IRS website and they will differentiate. I personally do not want to own any gold that I can hold inside of my IRA, because if I can hold it in my IRA, number one, it's at an administrator, so it's in a vault. I don't hold it, and if I don't hold it, I don't own it. And I'm quite clear on that.
Yeah.
Because it's not going to be likely to be segregated in my name, nor is any administrator likely to go, oh, wait, government, no to you. So I want the kind of gold that's classified as collectible that I cannot hold in an IRA. I do not want monetary gold. So that's the difference between the two, and why the bullion would be able to be confiscated. You want to add to that?
Yeah. I think it is probably one of the most important things that somebody can ask. Okay, why would I kind of went back to when you said, hey, that's a great question. You said why, but yeah, so he's asking the question, well, why? And it really is that class.
Why is bullion allowed to be confiscated?
Right.
Because we didn't use our voice.
Yeah, right. Exactly. And that's happened 5 times in this country alone, where because of the nature, the classification, it's so interesting. The government, really, they operate in a way where they just can slap a label on everything, and that's what it is, according to the tax code, according to the rules and regulations, the legalism of everything. So when we're looking at, this is a 1 ounce bullion gold coin, it is legally identified by the government as a monetary asset. So if the government has this balance sheet that is just so far out of whack with how much debt versus how much of this they can physically get their hands on, they have to do what to the price of 1 ounce of this? It has to go way, way up. And the question I ask is the government going to want to reevaluate their monetary asset while it's in our pockets? Or do they want to put it back onto their balance sheet first before pressing that magic button where now this has a monetary, nominal value much higher? I think that's kind of how I look at it as to why is it allowed, but to your point too, because we allowed it to be.
That's exactly right. I mean, I used to question, how did that happen? But now I see how it happens. And I'm saying we have to take our power back. We have to say, no, you can't do that. Nope. You've got the 1% ruling the 99%. How about the 99% get redeemable gold back in the global monetary system again? And that means that if you don't like what you see them doing, you say, give me the gold. Now, it doesn't even have to be on a 1-to-1 basis. You would do it at 40%. Okay, fine. You can keep the rest of that garbage that's in there.
Right.
Just give me my gold. That then forces fiscal responsibility because the power is now back in the public. What power do you think that you have against the government? Zero. Absolutely zero.
Yeah.
I think it's important to vote, and God, the reason why I say this is because I don't really want to get political. However, I am understanding that if we're going to make a change, we've got to do it from a bunch of different fronts.
Right.
So one of them is to build the army, and that's what this is about. Build that army that is saying, no, we want our power back. At the same time, we start to influence at a local level.
Yeah.
That could then spread into a federal level and a global level. We have to take our power back. If we don't, I'm glad I'm old, and I don't have a problem being old. But I look at my granddaughter that's here bedazzling my cell phone case right now, and your son, right, and your children and your grandchildren. We have to do it for them.
Yeah, I know. It's like going back to that tokenization piece. I mean, Yeah, if the physical gets made into an intangible smart contract, that's what tokenization is. It's
That's what some of the states are trying to do.
yeah,
They're only going to recognize digital gold and
digital.
silver.
Yeah,
Yay. No,
Yeah.
no.
right.
But you start where you start and you work with what you have to. It's a lot of education that needs to happen.
Yeah,
Join the fight. That's all. Just if you don't do anything, you get what you get. At least if you put forth this effort, and remember the dime cards too, because clients get the first dime card for free and then they get the rest of them at our cost. And I'm going to be working on some stuff, but we have a bunch of little under 5-minute videos. You can get anybody
yeah,
to sit for 5 minutes. Whether or not that's going to turn them, I don't know. All we're really trying to do is catch their attention.
yeah.
And I try and help people just look at things a little differently, because when you do that, it's amazing what you see.
Yeah. So if there's anybody that is a current client of Zang International and you haven't gotten that free dime card yet,
Call us.
Yeah, give a call right now. Call your strategy specialist, email them, and just let them know, hey, I'd like to get that dime card, and they get sent out pretty quickly. So you get it, and the rest of them are at our cost. If you want to get more, people love them though.
I love them.
Yeah.
I mean, it really makes the point. And,
Yeah.
I always travel with them. I always hand a lot out. They're going all around the world. But, we need an army, and you guys are the army, really.
Yeah.
So it's important.
Yeah. I think me and the social media person here at the office, Ashley. Yeah. We're going to try and go out to a place here in, by Phoenix and get some, talk to people with the dime cards, get some footage so people can maybe people don't know how to approach. Hey, how do I talk to somebody about this? Like, I can give it to them and tell them to look at the copper. It's not even really copper. It's just like a copper colored stripe. Yeah, it's a base metal junk filler. Okay, well, but look at this. It's a solid, silver. But maybe not everybody's comfortable in doing that. So we want to get some of that footage out there. So somebody can maybe watch it and say, okay, that's what I could say. Real quick, 30-second thing to just get people to understand. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't spend a lot of time because I think that's rude.
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
So quick. I always ask permission first, but then I take very little time. If you want to ask more questions, that's a different story, but I'm not going to impose.
You're right. Yeah.
Right. So some people, I think that's great, because some people would feel uncomfortable. But if you just take 30 seconds with somebody, and you're giving them a piece of silver,
right?
They're not unhappy with that typically.
Yeah. So I think that's a great thing. So yeah, if you guys have your client, give a call or text or email your specialist and get that first card for free.
Yep. And I think we have time for one or maybe two more questions. So Rich's network. So if gold and silver is recalculated back into the monetary system, number one, it never left the monetary system. They just got you to think that it left the monetary system, but it never left the monetary system. Does that mean the value of it would technically go down to match the new monetary system? No, it means, everything is born, and when it's born, things are new and they're this, really strong, especially in money. At that fiat money, particularly, at that moment in time, it has the most purchasing power value that it will ever have. And so this one little piece of bullion, it's a buffalo, it's a 1 ounce coin that has a $50 face value. There is no value in dollars. Its true fundamental value is zero. Look on the purchasing power chart. That's the FRED, the Federal Reserve Education Department, actually telling you this. But what's the value to the 33 different physical users of gold? A full, true supply and demand market will dictate that. And that's what we are moving toward. And this isn't something new. And actually, if you looked on that other chart, that move really started in 2020. Yeah. But that move actually started in 2008. So it's just an escalation, and that started in 1971, and then that
Yeah.
I mean, it's like
Really started in 1913 when they invented the Federal Reserve, right?
exactly
That's what it
when
all
they
goes back to.
legalized it. Why
Yeah.
did we let them legalize that? Look at our Constitution. It's illegal. What they're doing is illegal. Why'd they do it? Well, because they wanted the money monopoly,
Right. Yeah.
right?
If you
How
could
did they do
monopolize it.
People just rolled over. Stop rolling over. Who
Yeah.
are they that they should have the right to make everybody's life around here a lot harder and rob you of your work, your time, your wealth? Why is that okay?
Oh.
Not okay.
It's not, no. And I think, to also look at it from the perspective of how have we gotten to where we are now, right? With that perception management.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I think that really that's the biggest piece of this.
AI is going to take that on to steroids.
Right.
Oh my God, that scares the crap out of me.
Because I mean, if you have a majority of the population who think their retirement account, that's what they're working for, right? Hey, if I can just keep working for a couple more years and get that retirement account built up, but they don't understand the nature of that retirement account. They don't understand that it's not your wealth. It's really not. You've signed a contract to open up a retirement account with a company that does not nor ever will have your best interest in mind. It's all about how they can create their own wealth off the backs of your wealth. And it's they monopolize that, right? So I think that's really the biggest thing is how could any of this have gotten to where it is because
they allow it.
Yeah, they some people just maybe came up with a really good pitch back in 1912 and said, all right, here's what we're going to do next year, right? On Jekyll Island. Is that what it was?
When they created that, read The Creature from Jekyll Island, Griffin's work, fabulous piece. But I want to go back to this. So does that mean the value of it would technically go down to match the new monetary system? No, what that actually means is that the new monetary system will be valued against in terms of gold, which is really how it always was. There is no value. I know these are my bills, but there is no value in fiat money, in government debt-based money. It has a stated value, but what that dollar bought you in 1913 and what that same dollar buys you today is officially 97% less. Reality is much even worse than that.
Right.
So I think we have one more question, and that's Atlas 4225. Dollar liquidity crisis is a hot topic. What happens to gold holders if nations start to sell? Well, that's what I said earlier. I do think that in the U.S. right now, everybody else can suffer because of the U.S. But at the end of the day, when people around the world loses absolute confidence in the dollar, then those dollars come home to roost. And those dollars will make life here in the U.S. I think it's going to be worse for us. So dollar liquidity crisis is a hot topic, but the government can just, right? And didn't they do that in 2020? They trotted out all of their FOMC governors who went on. Neil Kashkari, I remember he's sitting there going, oh, this is not a problem because we have a printing press. We don't run on the bank. We'll just keep printing more dollars. Because people don't understand that every time they do that, the value of what's already out there goes down, right? Yeah. So no, it's the dollar liquidity crisis. It's not the liquidity. I mean, why? The liquidity, all that money that they've printed is still in the system. And it sloshes in Wall Street from this asset class to this asset class, or this contract to that contract.
Yeah, wealth never disappears. It
It-
just changes locations.
Right.
Yeah.
And I don't have it here because I don't remember what I did with it, but I'll find it. But my $10 trillion
Oh, yeah.
Zimbabwe note, of which I can buy nothing with, don't get blinded by numbers. This is practical. Physical gold, that's practical. Why is it practical? Because 33 global users, 36 global users, and I don't think that that's a definitive list, right? That's just what I could think of. So, yeah, what happens to gold holders if nations start to sell their dollars? The in terms of dollars goes like this. And where I said earlier that the fundamental value of an ounce of gold, this is on a global basis, is, I don't know, $36,000, $40,000, something like that at this moment in time. If you're just calculating it out based on the US debt that they admit to and all the gold that they say that they have,
supposedly,
then they would have to do an overnight revaluation at the probably higher than this, but the last time I calculated it out, 135,000 an ounce.
Right.
Don't get blinded by numbers. Numbers don't mean anything at the end of a day. We've been trained to think they mean a lot, but 10 trillion times zero is still zero. So that is it for today. This has been really fun. Again, I'm going to remind you, please, please, please do us all a favor and come next Monday at 6 p.m. That we're still going to do the live on Tuesday. This is for the Army that wants to learn how to get involved in local politics, to make sure or push getting sound money, gold and silver, back as legal tender. So we're going to teach you how to talk to everything. I don't know. I'm going to be learning it at the same time as you. So, Kenneth, I'm so honest to goodness, I'm so glad that this young man is here. He's doing a great job.
Thank you.
And I appreciate it a lot.
It's my pleasure. Yeah, it's great. I mean, I think it's just, important that, like you said, the information that you have, the knowledge that you have, get it to as many people as possible, because honestly, you can't put a price on knowledge.
Nope. And this is one way that we are future proofing our company, because we intend to be here for you for the rest of your lives. No doubt about it. Yeah. And until next we meet, I know that together, just like I think this is better with us than, I think we're stronger together in community than we are as individuals. So let's come together and make a positive difference for a lot of people. And until next we meet, please, wherever you are in the world, be safe out there. Bye-bye.